man drill.
10-01, I'm sorry, say request again.
7-7 Pacific.
What's up, guys? It's James with This Week in Airsoft. Got a really exciting show for you today. Today, we've got Alex Howitzer Alvarez from NAM Magazine, or the NAM, National Airsoft
Magazine.
Yeah,
The full name.
yeah, National Airsoft Magazine. Very exciting stuff. These guys have been around for a very long time, delivering lots of content for many years. Many years. It's staffed by a bunch of old hands in the airsoft industry who know who know what's up. So
We actually, if I can interrupt,
Yeah,
actually celebrate our 10. We're actually celebrating our 10th anniversary this month.
very cool.
10 years in the business.
10 years. There you go. First issue was 2004, right?
Yep, it was March 17, 2004.
March 17th. There you go. Very exciting stuff, man. So you guys have been around for a long time.
It seems like forever.
Well, you know, it's nice to have something like you guys, like your magazine has been around for such a long time. You've kind of seen airsoft grow and change and expand over time, and that's what we want to talk about today. We want to talk about the NAM, talk about what you guys are doing, what the next step is. Talk about what you've seen change over the years, because now magazines have come really.
We're gonna need a lot more than 20 minutes.
Yeah, I know, right?
A whole lot more like 20 hours, and even that'll just be a little bit. There's just having played and been involved with the sport for 20 years. I've really seen a whole lot of change from pretty much the moment it made landfall in the United States and started to become known. It was actually a group called the Sumerians. They were mainly a paintball group that played, most of them were in the San Francisco Bay Area, and they played at a field up near Vallejo, about 35 miles north of here. And they had heard about airsoft and were interested in it, but never seen it. And it just happened that I was at a gun show at the Cow Palace here in San Francisco, a huge arena, and I ran into them. They happened to have a booth. And I had recently purchased a Toka Marui, yes, that's how old I am, MP5 SD5 and an AK-47S. And they told me that they heard about it. I told them about the airsoft stuff, and they said, yeah, we'd like to hear about it. And so I came back the next day, because it's a Saturday, Sunday event, and I brought it to them and showed them, and they were instantly hooked. They said, you got to come with us the next game. So about, I think it was either September or October of '94, I actually went to the first game with them, bringing the airsoft gun, and helped introduce airsoft to the Bay Area population. And it just kind of, over the years, it just kind of spread like wildfire from there.
Very cool.
Gradually, slowly, and expanded. Again, back in the day, it was pretty much just Toki Marui stuff, mainly.
Right,
I mean,
right.
it was very, very limited.
And very expensive.
Oh, man. I would say, back in the very early days, there was no such thing as upgrades. You got it as is, and that was it. It wasn't until a couple years later that we started learning about upgrades and started upgrading metal bodies, internals, stronger springs, the whole 9 yards. And yeah, it did get expensive. I mean, people talking about it's interesting seeing the evolution of the sport, because forgive, it might sound derogatory, but kids today, and I mean this as the younger players, the newer ones, kids today come in and they're screaming and yelling and paying $300, $350 for a metal, fully upgraded M4 or AK or whatever with 2 mags and battery pack and stuff like that. Is like, boy, back in the day, $450 for a gun, a plastic body gun, shooting 285 FPS with 20s. 1 standard mag, and we're talking the 60-round mags. And that was it. Battery, separately. Charger, separately. Extra mags, separately. Sling, separately. Scope, separately. All this stuff. It's like all you got was the bare bone minimums. And what's kind of depressing is that Marui is still doing the same thing 20 years later.
Yeah,
You'd think they'd learn.
the
But,
Japanese.
well,
They,
I don't blame them. There's another show perhaps, but I can
right.
go in a long dialogue about why the situation is with Marui and why it happened what happened. But essentially,
No.
in essence, it was just politics, and I could say, I shouldn't say ego per se, for lack of a better word. The cultural saving face.
Right.
A lot of that was also there. A little, I could say, I guess a little bit of arrogance behind it, but there were reasons behind it. There's explanations, and it's, like I said, you have to go really long. You probably have to dedicate an entire episode just to that. But there were its reasons. The thing why the sport exploded is you started having other companies take notice of this, and players were interested, and they're paying large sums. I mean, we're talking about to upgrade a Marui from stock, because first you had to drop $400 to $450 on the gun alone, just stock. Then you're talking about anywhere from $120 to $150 for the metal body, about $100 for the reinforced mech box, another $200 for gears, motor, springs, piston head, cylinder, tappet plate, the whole 9 yards, all the internals, wiring, reinforced outer barrel, whatever else you wanted to throw on it. I mean, you could spend easily anywhere from $900 to $1,200 per gun back then.
Wow.
If the parts were available. Stuff like the MP5, SD5 I had, no upgrade parts at all. Internally, yes. Externally, plastic. That's all you had. No other option. It was mainly the M16s and the AKs that started doing the metal. That started right about late 96, early 97, when you had companies like Red Wolf, WGC Shop, Den Trinity. Here's a name I'm sure a lot of people haven't heard in a long time. And you had the upstart companies start coming out, what we refer to as the first clone companies: Classic Army, G&G, G&P, ICS. These companies started coming, started emerging, and started taking over the industry, largely because they were not restricted by the federal regulations that the Japanese nation had. So they could make, sky was the limit as far as performance. And they did. And we, in the Americans' infinite need to push the envelope beyond all reasonable boundaries, took to it like moths to a flame. And we just took off from there. And it's developed into, for the most part, what it is today.
Right. Well, it's thank God for that progression. I'll tell you, because
it's a good and a bad thing at the same time. Like everything, it's a mixed thing. There's some, with everything, there's good and bad stuff. At different points, sometimes the good, for the most part, the good would come out, but the bad would sometimes take over and be front and center for a significant time, and it would shift back and forth and constantly. It's like everything. The market is constantly in change, constantly in flux.
Right. All right. Well, let's. We're gonna have to do that history show. We're gonna have to do that show and get guys up to speed. I know another guy we could have on that show and make it really, really great. So we'll have to put that together. We're gonna make that happen for you guys. All right. Let's talk about National Airsoft Magazine. What got it started?
What it was is my partner Reaper. He started playing, and he was also a 1/6 scale figure collector. He still is, and he was also into comic books and many other things. And one thing that he noticed that was absent from Airsoft was print media. I mean, rock bands have, there's magazines for rock bands. There's magazines for cars, motorcycles, guns and ammo, all those kind of things. There's print media for all these other hobbies and industries and such, but there was nothing for airsoft, at least not in the United States. So he decided, he got a bunch of us players, local players together, and he saw that we had a significant amount of knowledge and playing experience with the sport, and he said, hey, how about we make this magazine? Let's just make our own magazine. Let's start something. And we got behind it, and we started doing the reviews. We started going to events and reporting on it. Put it together, and we did our first, like I said, did our first print in March '04, and put it out. We started distributing it through Airsoft Extreme and at games that we attended, just giving it out, and it just progressively grew from there. And lo and behold, 10 years later, just still doing the same thing for the most part. I mean, the main thing about the magazine that when we set out to do was to create a bridge between the players and the manufacturers. So that way there's something of communication between the two, but it's not just noise going back and forth. It's that there was be somewhere in the middle that people who understood what was going on, knew the products, knew what the players wanted, and had the skills to communicate between both. The information is like, that way we were telling the manufacturers what the players wanted, but we also explained to the players why the manufacturers were doing it a particular way or a particular style, because what was going on for quite some time, this is one of the reasons why we started the magazine, was one particular manufacturer was making only what the owner liked.
Right. Right.
And for almost 1 to 2 years, there would be nothing but variations of this one particular piece. And it got tedious and boring. Because he's like, well, what about this other gun? Oh, no, we're just going to make this. It's like, well, we announced that we're releasing this gun and this gun and this gun and this gun. And it's like, and you put these guns, all these guns side by side, and there may be 1 or 2 physical variations, but otherwise it was just another freaking M4.
Right.
Maybe it had a removable sight. Maybe it didn't. Maybe it had a collapsible stock. Maybe it had a solid stock. Maybe it had a 416 stock. Maybe it didn't. It just, it's an M4.
Right. Right.
I mean, how many different ways do you want to? How can you review something where basically the feature is just a cosmetic difference that you can buy separately anyway? And you could add on yourself. It's just like, and they would make completely unique box art for it and the manuals and everything. It just kind of like, it got a little tedious. And we would tell them, it's like, okay, you know what, you guys really need to get, you know, move on to something else because people are getting tired of this. Everyone's got M4s. One of the big problems is that right now, I think in this moment, our market is so hyper saturated with products and similar products that there's no room for growth anymore. And don't even get me started about the IP wars. Oh, Lord. We'll be here for decades discussing that one.
Right, right.
But
well, I saw, guys, check out. I think it's your issue 20. I guess I think it's issue 20. You discuss a little bit about the clones and stuff like that in that magazine. We
did in issue 18. Was the first part.
Okay.
First was the first part. It's actually posted on our website that you can read the entire first article. What you saw in issue 20 was the second part.
Okay.
And this issue, either issue 21 or 22, I'm not sure. We might be pushing it back, but 20. The next issue or the issue after that will be the third part, which explains the third stage of it, because there's basically 3 different stages. You had the first stage with the clones, then you had the name brand striking back against the clones, and then you had the IP holders getting involved. So there was a 3-stage process to the whole thing. And right now we're at the tail end of the IP wars, which is for the most part over, but still ongoing in a manner of speaking. Right. But that's something that they can read. As far as the magazine, getting back to the point about the magazine, it's to provide information very much like a newsletter, not different from a newsletter. It's like when we do review a product, we take the product, we look at what it is, what's intended, and we evaluate based solely on the merits of the product itself. It's like, if someone gives it to us, it's like, well, thank you for giving the product, and we go over it, it's like, I'm sorry to say, but this thing's crap, or it's gold. We would be very honest, because at the end of the day, our loyalty has always been to the player, because they're the ones who read our magazine, they're the ones who support us, they're the ones who listen to us, giving us a significant amount of, I shouldn't say leverage, for lack of a better word, in the industry, that manufacturers come to us and actually start asking us questions. There have been some manufacturers that have made changes to their product based on our feedback. And they very often come back and say, thank you very much for your feedback. It made a huge difference. And they realize that if they'd gone with the path that they were without us, they would have, the product would not have done as well.
Right.
Because very often what you have is engineers and executives who sit in cubicles or in high-profile rooms who come up with a concept and they work out the concept and that's it. They don't actually take it into the field. That was actually an issue with one company very early in the industry, that they would literally, it would be designed on the whiteboard, they do it on a computer, they assemble it, and then they'd ship it out. No testing whatsoever. It actually, the product they were sending out was the beta test. That they were having paid customers beta test their equipment. I won't mention names. Those who know. Those of you out there who know. I'll leave it at that. But I will not. I won't mention names. And that was one of the reasons why we did it. And when we do our reviews, especially our game reports, when we go to events and write on it, we always try to write it from a first-person perspective, because we like the reader to feel like they're right beside us as the event is going on. Case in point, I just came from a game just a few minutes before we logged on.
Right.
And I'm going to do a write-up on that event, and I will tell them exactly what happened, not only just from my perspective, but what I could see happening with the other players. And I would jump perspectives. It would not be just for mine. I could tell from my part, but as the story goes on, I shift to what I saw happening with another team or the opposing team, or so on and so forth. Or if I just walk around, it could be various games. We try to take the whole experience and put it into a type of storytelling. That a lot of it actually we keep truthful to what happened. We just give it from different perspectives, almost like if you're playing a Modern Warfare game.
Right.
And there's a lot of humor in there because there are funny situations that happen out there. One particular one was I had a dog back at one game that we were playing at, and I got shot out, and I got shot out to the point where I started rolling down the hill that I was on and flopped at the bottom, and my dog came rushing over to me and started licking me, thinking that I was actually hurt. And that was something we actually wrote into the game report. So it's bringing the people, the readers, into the experience.
Right.
And to give them, especially when it comes to reviews, we're not there to tell you what to buy. We're here to give you the information we think you need to make your own educated decision on what to purchase something or not to go with one thing or another. We're not here to tell you what to do, because while we have advertisers who help fund what we do, our loyalty is always to the player, because advertisers come and go, but the players are always there.
Okay.
And as long as they're there supporting us, do we really need to worry about the companies? To an extent, yes, but
They'll fall into line.
I don't know. Maybe it's a nice. It's
what you mentioned before still happens, where manufacturers just do their thing, and then they're like, "Why isn't anyone buying this?" It still happens
absolutely.
because there's a huge disconnect between the player and the player and the manufacturer. They just kind of make stuff, and they're like, okay, it's going to come out, and people will just buy it or not, and you're like, you wonder, why are there so many? Why is this the 33rd, M4 with MOE stock on it, So I get what you're saying there, but I think I think the more interconnecting we have between those two groups, the more things like NAM we have, the better it'll be for And once players get behind and can support you guys' efforts, and the efforts of other groups like you, once they get behind and support that and see that there's a connection and it's helping, I mean after we've done interviews, we've had manufacturers call us. I mean, the guys from Tippmann called me and asked me a question after our interview. Oh, well, does anyone actually like this? I was like, well, it's a thing, I guess. Whatever. So I see the value there, and
I think what a lot of the manufacturers and execs who make these decisions, the problem is they're not players.
Right.
They're
Right.
businessmen.
Bottom line profitability,
which is not a bad thing. But when you're trying to give the players what they want, don't you think you should be asking them, the experienced one? I'm not talking down on the noobs, and don't use the noob thing derogatory. I mean that to explain people who are relatively young or inexperienced in the sport itself. But do you go to the fresh guy just coming in to ask them, hey, what do you think of this gun? I mean, he probably doesn't know. It's like you probably think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread because he doesn't know any better. Right. I mean, you're asking him. But you have to go to the experienced players who've been doing it for a long time. Myself, I've been playing 20 years. My partner and editor-in-chief, Reaper, he's been playing 17. Everyone on our staff has been played a minimum of 5 years continuous active. Minimum. Some have played more. And we take this knowledge and this experience from these and we bring it together, and that's where we flesh out our reviews, our reports, our things like that. And we always try to do it from the players' side because, again, it's the players who drive this market. And I actually had a discussion with someone that people say, the American airsoft industry, I have to disagree with them, and I'm going to make an extremely bold statement here. There is no airsoft industry in the United States. Period. End of story. Reason I say that, when design, production, and distribution starts in another country other than your own, when almost 100, I'll say 99.9% of that is created elsewhere, you're not an industry. You're a large secondary market. Right. That's a fact. Period. Right. Many people will disagree with me, and
no, but you are technically correct. I see how people might disagree, but you are correct. You are correct. It's.
I mean, if you make here's the thing: if you're getting a gun out of China they're selling for $250. You take the exact same thing and build it here in the United States, you're looking at anywhere from $500 to maybe $550. Which one do you think they're going to buy?
Right, of course. No, of course, absolutely.
There you go.
Well, you got Tippmann. Their gun is.
Granted,
I think.
I've seen it. I've seen the video. We have not received one to review. That would be kind of nice. Hint, hint, Tippmann. But until we actually have the product and try it out and speak to them about it, we really can't say anything. Right. People have asked me about my opinion about gas blowback rifles and Polar Stars and many other things, and I give them my personal opinion. But as Howitzer of the NAM, I cannot give a professional opinion simply for the fact that I don't know. I haven't played with it. Right. I've seen them operate. I understand the history and the mechanical and design intent behind most of them. And it's very much a thing of do you want to take your Volkswagen Beetle from point A to point B, or do you want to take the Ferrari, or do you want to take the semi-truck, or do you want to take the cement mixer? It's a different tool with different performances to accomplish different tasks. Right. Right. It's not a matter of it's better than this. Right. This is better than that. Yeah. In certain areas, yes, but then this is like gun A is deficient, then gun B in this area, and so on and so forth down the line. And I think I think one of the things that kind of bothers me right now about today's mindset is that I pay $800 for this thing, so it's far superior than your $200 gun. I've seen that and heard that so many times in the field, and I just have to laugh my ass off when I see that guy with the $800 gun going back to the respawn 5 times because that 12-year-old kid with a spring action shotgun got him.
Right.
It's just hilarious.
Yeah, no, it doesn't have, and we always tell guys that here. It's not what you're carrying; it's how you're using it. And I've seen guys do amazing things with, I mean, for years, and actually just until maybe last year, all I used was G&G, combat machine, a modified combat machine. I mean, it's really all about what you put into it and how the performance of the gun is. It's not about how much money you've dumped in, how much money you spent on it in the beginning. I mean, I don't have a Polar Star. There's advantages to Polar Stars and there's disadvantages. It just depends on what you're into.
Right.
Let's really quick talk about what's next for the NAM.
Next is we have been for some time and are looking to do a podcast radio show, either podcast or video webisode. We're not sure just yet. It's a matter of getting the resources and time to do it, because a lot of our time is focusing on the magazine.
Right.
Because there is an incredible amount of research that we put into everything we do. It's not just a simple, we just go out there and check it in, look it over once or twice, and that's it. It's like, no, we do research into it, because we're here to present the facts to the readers. We're not here for rumor or speculation of innuendo, because, at the end of the day, it was kind of like Duke Nukem Forever for a couple of years. It's vaporware. Until you have it in your hand, it's just talk.
It's funny, guys don't realize that. I'll watch we'll get like a hint someone will send us something. Oh, the price of this is going to be blah, or this is what this is going to release at, or this item is going to be whatever. And then it comes out and it's not that. Or before it comes out, they say, "Why haven't you posted anything on my hint? What I dropped you?" I was like, because that's just something. It's a rumor from the rumor mill, and I want guys to come to This Week in Airsoft and know that when they see something on our site, it's legitimate. It's not something made up. It's a fact. And guys need to realize that's an important part of when you're doing this journalistic integrity. You can't just print whatever or write whatever. It's a huge research is a massive part, making sure you get the information,
And I think that's what a lot of people have, and I don't mean to harp on them, but this latest generation of youth is, I can't really fault them, because it's kind of a result of the previous generations trying to make it easier for them. But this latest generation does not understand the value of integrity until it's lost. And even then, they don't truly grasp what it means, because when you sell yourself out for something, that means you've shown a bias. That puts everything you've done before in question. It's like, how do I know I can trust your thing? Because you obviously sold out to this company. I mean, you gave it an excellent review, even though it's crap, simply because they gave you a free, expensive gun.
Right.
It's like right there, you've lost an incredible amount of integrity. And now everyone, all that work that you've spent building up your name and reputation, it's just gone down the toilet.
Yeah.
Not fully, but you're tainted.
Yeah, right.
And that's not going to go away. Now you have to work twice as hard to overcome that. And you can't do it again, because if you constantly keep doing it, then no one's going to believe you or trust you. And that's one of the things that's always been key with the NAM is our integrity. It's like we don't report on rumors, we report on facts.
Right.
And if something comes out erroneous, we'll own up to it. We have to.
Yeah, exactly. No, absolutely. It's key to be able to say, "Yeah, we're sorry, we made a mistake." Yeah, we try not to. I don't. When that stuff happens, we don't post on it. Sometimes if we have to say something, we will, but otherwise, the rumor mill, we'll leave that for other more nefarious places. They can post on that stuff. I shall not. I shall not go down that path.
You keep this up, I'm gonna bite my tongue off.
Yeah, don't say anything. Don't get in trouble.
Yeah, I know I will.
All right, so so you guys are, up in the air about what can happen next, but the guys will be able to continue to find the a new print media version of the magazine, and there's a PDF. Is the
Yes,
PDF a taste, or is it a full
it's
thing?
the full. The PDF is the file we send to the printers.
Okay.
So you're getting everything,
Okay. All right.
and
Terrific.
both are free. The magazine itself is also free,
Okay.
no cost, no cuesta nada,
Okay. All right. All right. So
free.
and guys will be able to find this. They can go to your site, and the site will point them to where they can find the episode, the new magazine to pick up.
Or they can contact us and request one. And the only thing they have to pay is the shipping cost to them if we have any left over. Now the thing is, because we're coming back in print after such a significant hiatus, we have a very limited quantity. And as I said, we have a subscription base that we have to fulfill, and we also have a significant amount of the print run being going to our distributor in Japan, which is something I would point out. We are the only English airsoft magazine imported into Japan.
I like that. That's exciting to me.
And interestingly enough, and this is what it was explained to us by a distributor, Japan has an anti-competition law. That means any industry that originated in Japan, no outsiders can import.
Right.
So we are technically smuggled into Japan. Technically.
Wow. That's pretty cool though. Yeah, Japan's that's another episode. We're not gonna get into it.
Oh.
I want to look. Let me say something. I had a long conversation. You probably don't know this guy, Eric DMZ. He runs a shop out in Colorado, and he's a collector of airsoft guns. We had a long talk about Japan, and I gotta have him on the show with you, and we'll turn it into a whole thing. It'll be great. Guys will love it. All the guys who are like kind of nerds for the facts, the nitty gritty behind this stuff, will get into it, and I would definitely want to get in that talk with you guys.
Well, one thing I got to warn you now. I'm not just an airsoft geek. I'm a sci-fi geek, anime geek, fantasy geek. I've got an entire repertoire of stuff.
Yeah, I see the samurai
Food?
swords back there in the corner.
Actually, that's my son. That's my son-in-law's little thing.
Okay, all right.
I have real ones, so I can't put them on display.
Oh, okay. But no, very very cool, man. We're gonna have you back for that. But let's quickly talk about where do you see, because you've been watching airsoft as a player and from the sidelines as a journalist. What do you see us going in the next, say, 5 years, as far as either play style, technology, what's next? What do you think? If you were just to throw something out.
Technology will always progress and will always make things cheaper, better, give more options and capabilities. However, the sport itself, to be blatantly honest, I do not see much change. Airsoft started as an underground sport, and I genuinely and unfortunately have to say I do not see that changing. And to be honest, I think that's a good thing.
Does it thrive as an underground sport?
I believe it does.
Okay.
Now, why I say this, which many people out there say, blasphemy, heresy, hang him.
I agree with you 100%.
The reason behind that is people need to understand, and I just had this discussion with someone at the game I came from. We're in America. Everyone, within reason, has access to a real firearm. We are, I believe, the only nation on this planet that has that option. With that in mind, and pardon me for paraphrasing this, because I've had this discussion many, many times when I explain what airsoft to someone who doesn't understand. They say, why am I going to pay $300 for this plastic toy gun that's basically it's a toy that comes from a country somewhere else in language I don't understand, when I can go down to Walmart and pick up a real one for half that price? To which typically I turn around and respond and say, okay, well, shoot your neighbors with it. Shoot your friends with it. Well, I can't do that. I'll kill them. Exactly. You can't play with your gun. You can with your airsoft. That's what they don't get. Because we are a nation that has had this freedom for such a long time, we've taken it for granted. And the desire to have this is not there. Unlike Japan, where the gun control laws are so insanely strict and restricting that it's not impossible to own a gun in Japan. Anyone can, but the amount of time you need to put in to go through the classes, get the permits, pay the fees, so on and so forth. So it could be anywhere from 5 to 7 years from the initial application before you're approved. And then the restrictions they put upon you once you get the gun make it's not illegal or impossible, it's just extremely difficult. So airsoft was their way of getting the action pursuit enthusiasts, of getting that, getting that adrenaline, getting that rush, that need for survival game out of their system. Not so much here, when you can just pick up a rifle, or just go down to the local gun shop and pop a box of ammo in the back in the shooting range, and just go home like 2 hours later.
Right.
Can't do that anywhere else. And I think that's why airsoft is not appreciated. Also because we have this other thing called paintball, which it has its purpose, it has its uses, and it has its crowd, and that's perfectly fine. I think that airsoft and paintball can coexist if they want to. They have to want to. But probably sliding off topic again. I do genuinely believe it's going to remain an underground sport, and I think it should, because I've seen it explode over the last couple of years. And one thing I can tell you, being an anime fan and being involved in the anime industry for some time, I've seen that when you have the diehard few, the quality and the quality of the fan, the individual, is extremely high because they're dedicated, they're diehard. But then as more people come out, the law of averages comes into it, that it starts getting diluted. And I don't mean that in a bad way.
Right. Yeah, of course.
The emphasis and the focus, the drive, the dedication to the cause, start slipping away. And I think that's the conundrum that we're facing now, that we have worked, the old folks have worked so hard to help develop this sport here in the U.S., that we've eliminated all the obstacles and challenges that the newer generations don't have to face because we did it for them. We eliminated it. But a friend of mine taught me the dangers of exaggerated gestures. Extravagant gestures was the word, excuse me. Extravagant gestures. That means the worst thing you can do for a youth is to eliminate their challenges. Because the future youth, when they actually come against this challenge themselves, they have no idea how to deal with it. And that's partially what you see. We talk about the COD softers. Guys who are making their decisions and claims based
We don't know what that is, Alex. I've never heard of that.
I mean, based solely on a video game. It's like, a little more fact check, please, guys. It's more than just that. It's like, well, he's wearing this, so I'm going to deck it out. It's like, okay, that's perfectly fine, but you try to take that gear into real combat, it's like, you'll be dead inside 2 minutes.
All right.
Of course, that's not the case here, because again, it's a game. It's a sport. And to answer something, Milsim, I have to say this, Milsim is an aspect of airsoft, not the evolution, not the next step, not the end result, an aspect. Because it's like everybody is not trying to reach Milsim levels.
Right.
A fair percentage do. And you have the light Milsimmers, the dedicated Milsimmers, and then the hardcore ones where they are all about the low caps. I've got 30 rounds in my gun exactly, and my box mag is only 200 rounds, or that level of analness that just makes you think they're, back up to a brick wall and suck a brick out. No, you got that reference, huh?
Yeah.
But anyway, other questions?
Well, the last one's a little bit of a fun one. I was going through the NAM Facebook page, and guys, I'll have links to the NAM Facebook page and to the magazine and everything like that, and their website in the description so you guys can see it. But I went to SHOT Show this year. That's where I met you.
Yes.
And I have to ask you, how did you find all the chicks? Because I did not see any chicks. I did not see half of them. You got pictures of all of them. Okay? He just stumbled upon them. We'll leave it at that. They were there, and he found them.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. A lot of them were just simply ladies that we came across, and said, "Hey, would you like to pose?" We gave them the whole spiels, like you would like to pose for the magazine, and just a little simple photo shoot. The later ones from 17, 18, 19, 20. We actually had Kent Wu from Airsplat pay to have those models posted in the last 4 issues. That he had a folder full of pictures from some kind of photo shoot he did a long time ago, and he had no use for them. So he actually say, for advertisement, he said, "How about like, what would you like to do with us?" It's like, I want to advertise, but a particular way that makes me stand out. It's like, well, what about what do you want to do? It's like, how about your NAM girl? I've got all these pictures of these models, hot models here, and why don't I just sponsor the NAM girl for 4 issues? And that's exactly what he did.
Cool.
Issue 20 closes it out. And I think issue 20, don't quote me, but issue 20 will probably be the last NAM girl for a significant amount of time. Mainly because we have shrunk from, in order to keep our free status, we shrunk from 100 pages down to 54. And so we need the space for the content. So we're going to probably cut the NAM girl out to add more content.
Will we see the NAM girl come back? Probably in maybe next year or something?
Well, when opportunity presents itself, we will bring it back.
Okay.
But one thing that we do at, especially on our website, and now we shifted over to Facebook, is our SHOT Show coverage. You see at the end of, when you go to our website, at the last day, we show the booth babes. We go around taking pictures of all the booth babes all over SHOT Show, and we post it. So we do have it in some form. It might not be in every single issue. It was a novelty thing at the time, but I think given the explosion of the internet and the sheer avalanche of porn sites out there, is it really necessary? Is it? I mean,
I feel like the NAM girl is a staple, is a semi-staple of the magazine.
It is.
The content is the cherry on top, but the content
cherry on top. Yes.
What's that?
The figurative cherry on top.
The figurative cherry on top.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just was like, whoa.
No, I think that
can we say that on air?
Yeah. No, I think what you guys have done is really good, and I think that the NAM girl, the reason I like it is because I saw, no one else is doing anything like that right now. The closest thing we got is John Liu with his Lion Claws Angels, which you don't really see unless they go to ops or something like that, and they're really rarely at the ops, So it's kind of cool that you guys do it. I hope you guys bring it back. I know guys are going to be excited about it. But content is key. Do the content first, do it well, and then everything else comes behind that in support of the content to me. So I agree with you.
If we get more paid advertisers, which we're really working for, we're starting from scratch again. We're going back to our roots. That's what the issue is. Like before we had color. Now it's black and white. The whole thing is black and white from cover to cover. Because people say, like, well, why don't you go colors? Like, well, 1, that triples the print costs. 2, are you willing to pay $20 for a magazine? Because the thing is, unlike some of the other magazines out there, we're not a publisher. We're players. Right. We don't have a publication branch. We don't print or publish anything else. This is all we do. Nothing else.
Right.
So we don't have super discount deals with printers because we have 8 to 12 other publications. This is all we do.
Right.
So this is all we have to support us. Thankfully, we have enough paid advertisers now that it made it feasible for us to go back into print, and that's exactly what we've done. And we hope to continue it for some time. The more advertisers, the more paid advertisers we have supporting us, the more we can do in the magazine. Will we go back to color? Most likely not. The reason being, if you want the stuff in color, go on the internet, Facebook, website, go to the manufacturers. Matter of fact, on the PDF, we have links embedded in there that sends you straight to the manufacturer's website. You want to see the stuff in color? It's there. Unless you guys are willing to pay for that privilege,
Right.
why pay? Again, free, no cost.
Yeah.
How do you compete with that?
Right.
You really can't.
Yeah, you can't compete with free.
You can't compete with free. And that's what we're trying to put, because the tagline for this is, you already pay enough for your gun and equipment. Why pay more for the information to make the right choice to buy the right gun and equipment?
Right. Right.
That's the philosophy that we have for this, why we're doing it for free.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So, guys, how frequently, how often will these come out? These are quarterly.
We're sticking to a quarterly schedule. We've always done a quarterly schedule. The initial belief was because at the time there wasn't enough content coming out, enough products coming out to truly justify going to anything sooner. And the thing is, with the website, with the advent of Facebook and the internet and all that, there's so much other ways to do it out there. So what we do is, when you see something in the magazine itself, this is something we think you should truly pay attention to, because we think it's important, and we think you should know that it's important.
Right.
So this is us showcasing this stuff to you. Say, hey, this is good stuff. You need to pay attention to this. You don't need to buy it, but you need to pay attention. Look into it, decide for yourself.
Right.
Because we're not here to push anybody's products. Well, not fully. We're here, of course, the advertisers and the donors, we're here to push the product for them. But the grades and scores that they get is based on the merits of the product itself.
Right.
And that's always been a staple with us. Again, we go back to journalistic integrity.
Right. Right.
It's like developing that trust. That's the main thing, and always has been a core principle of the magazine.
Okay. All right. Excellent. All right, guys. So, Alex, it's a pleasure having you on.
Thank you so much.
We are going to have you back very soon to have we're going to have you back probably a bunch of time to have a bunch of talks about a bunch of different things. Guys,
I hope you can fit enough time in your schedule, because it's going to take quite a while.
Oh no, we'll work through it, man. We're gonna work through it. We're gonna get all your knowledge out of your brain and into the internet, onto this show, so guys can go back to it. 100 years from now, guys will say, "Well, let's see," No, but really glad to have you on, man. Glad to talk about the NAM, and we expect to see great things coming from you guys. Back out with the same good content that guys we used to get back in the day. We're glad you guys are ramping back up, and we look forward to it. I look forward to it, definitely.
We never really went away. All we did is, like, when we stopped print, we just took all that stuff and we put it on our website. So we have a lot of online content on our website. It's essentially the same quality and everything you expected in the magazine. It's just free on our website.
Right.
And again, the PDFs, it's like we have the limited printed issues that are going out, but the PDFs of this is on our website. Right. Now, I'm not sure if we're going to be constantly doing that with every release, because people, we really do want to push the printed copies. Right. But for those who cannot get them, they can get all the information. And the one thing we're going to do is, eventually we're going to go back and we're going to release PDF omnibuses of old issues, back issues that are no longer in print.
Right. Cool.
That we'll be putting them on PDFs on the website, because we feel, even though the product itself is old, the secondary resale market is still there. People are constantly selling.
It doesn't. I think, guys, and I see where you're coming from. You're looking at it from the business mindset. I can tell you, though, for me, honestly, I love to go back and look at old product manuals, old magazines that cover things, because you say, wow, this is what we were rocking back then. I know some guys are just going to buy them just because. You know,
Yeah,
I know
collector.
I definitely will. You know, just because I'm like, I want to get them. I want to get them just to have them. So I can flip through them. I'll flip through them. I mean, every time I get a magazine, airsoft or whatever, I read through the entire magazine. Because
Mhm.
it's my hobby. It's what I'm passionate about. So it doesn't matter. It's not going to matter to me the age or relevance, because to find if I want to find details about something, I'll go to the web and I'll hunt it down on the web, from a million different approaches and everything else
Mhm.
like that. I'll start with the magazine and then I'll drill down through the web stuff. So for
Right.
me, it's a matter of, you get the magazine so you can have something in your hand. You can have something to touch and go through and flip the pages, and that's not like you're looking at your phone. You know what I mean? We all want that kind of in your hand
You
magazine
know,
experience.
and the people have actually asked. A lot of people have saying, it's like, why the heck with the internet, with all that, with mobile devices, tablets, phablets, and everything, smartphones? Why are you going back to print? It's like, because the thing is, when you read, you have to read. It's not something that. Let's talk about. Forgive me for saying this, but the ADHD generation nowadays, which is like, when they're on the computer, they've got a browser. They got two different browsers open with 7 tabs each. They've got 2 chat programs going. They got a video going on in the background. They've got their MP3 list. They're tapping on their phone, communicating there. It's like, how do you know that they're listening to what you're saying when you put it out there?
Right.
Because there's so many distractions. With a magazine, you want to read this,
Yeah, you're locked in. Right.
you're locked in. You
Right.
have to stop, you have to put everything away, and you have to pay attention. And if you do that, you're much more likely to remember the information that you're absorbing
Yeah,
when
you
you read
retain
it.
it. Yeah, you
You
retain it.
retain it.
Yeah.
And another example, someone asks, well, what's the difference? It's like, okay, you come from a game and you say, yeah, I want to check out that new M4 from Classic Army. Oh, I saw the review of that online. Really? What was the website? Oh, it was www.incredibly long name I'm never going to remember.com.
Yeah.
So you write that down. It's like, no, just remember the name. I guarantee you, by the end of the day, this guy's going to be so freaking tired and put everything away, he's going to completely forget it, and that review
No,
product
nobody's
never
gonna
gets.
remember that. No
Yeah.
one's gonna remember the name.
And now we'll take that exact same scenario and flip it around. Hey, I heard about the Classic Army's got this new M4 coming out. I'd really like to hear about it. Oh, the NAM Magazine did a review on that. Really? Where could I find it? Here.
Right.
Right then, right there. Instant access.
Right. Right.
How do you compete?
No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. All right, so guys can find you guys on, what's the website?
www.nammag.com. That's the short version. Or nationalairsoftmagazine.com if you feel like exercising your fingers.
Okay.
We're also on Facebook, the nammagazine.com. Find us there. We're also on Twitter. I have Twitter accounts and MySpace, believe it or not. Yes, it still exists. Yes, we still have a page.
All right, very cool, very cool.
No Google Plus because we don't work for Google.
Oh yeah, that's okay. We have Google Plus, but I don't really use it that often.
People still use it. Non-Google employees use it. Wow.
Oh yeah, sure. I'm a Google head, so I don't use it though, unfortunately, because it's, I don't
You
know.
know, if you got the glasses, does that mean you have googly eyes? All right, bad joke.
All right. Well, look, man. It's been a pleasure to have you on. We're gonna have you back for some more stuff.
All right.
And guys, you'll be able to. I'll have links to everything that everywhere you can find Alex and find the NAM magazine. I'll have it all down in the description. That's probably down there somewhere. And really appreciate your time. Appreciate your time, Alex. And we look forward to hearing from you in the future, man.
Not at all. It was a pleasure being interviewed by you and being here on the show. And I do look forward to participating and interacting with you and your audience as well in the future.
Oh, we'll do. We'll do.
And they can reach me anytime. It's Alex Howitzer Alvarez on Facebook. And I also have all my contact information on the website as well. So they can hit me up anytime they have questions, stuff. I will answer it to the best of my ability. If I don't know an answer, I know someone who does.
There you go.
That's one of the things.
All right, guys. I'm James with This Week in Airsoft, and for Alex and the rest of the guys, thanks a lot for your time.
Bye.
And we are out.
Take care.